Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Daphne, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this beautiful bobo with this particular neckline. It's a kind of a zigzag neckline or something. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. The first thing I did was to place my fabric, my 1.5 yard of fabric on the floor and divide it into two. Mind you, I got 3 yards of fabric altogether for this. 1.5 for the light brown and 1.5 for the dark brown. So I'm going to be combining the two colors. The front we have two colors, the back we have two colors. So what I did was to divide each of the 1.5 fabric into two, one for the back and one for the front. When I was done with that, I went ahead to divide the other color also into two, one for the front and one for the back. When I was done, I took it to my sewing machine to join it together so that it would be easier for me to cut. The next thing I did was to fold each of the joined fabrics into two, one for the front and one for the back. I placed every two of them on the floor and I went ahead to take my measurements. The first measurement I took was my neck width. I used 7 inches for the neck width. Sorry, 6.5 for the neck width. And after I discovered that it was too big, so I advise you to use 6 or to use 5 or 5 or 4.5. And for the neck depth, I will advise you to use 3 because at the end everything was so big I had to adjust it. So let me go again. For the neck width, use 5 inches or 4.5, but the hair should be 5. Then for the neck depth, use 3 inches so that it will not be so wide, it will be falling off your shoulders. Okay, from there I went ahead to draw my regular neckline so that it will give me like a kind of guideline to make the zigzag neckline. So when I was done, I used the guideline to like draw the zigzag neckline. I went ahead to trace it again so that it will be perfect, to give me a kind of perfect zigzag. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just tracing it so that it will be more visible. Okay, to measure the length of my sleeve from half of my shoulder to my sleeve. I measured about 22 inches. That's how wide I want my sleeve, how long I want my sleeve to be. That's the length, 22. I went ahead to mark and I stepped down by 2 inches for my shoulder slope. I went ahead to take my sleeve width, which is 11 inches for a bubu. The least you can do is 10 inches. I went ahead to mark 11, which is the regular that I use, because I want it to be comfortable and open as possible. While I was done with that, I went ahead to mark my hip line in order to determine the wideness of this bubu. I mark my hip line, which is the biggest parts of my body, so I'll be able to use it to determine the wideness of the bubu. I went ahead to mark my hip circumference, which is 10.5. That's 42 divided by 4, 10 and a half, and I went ahead to mark 5 inches extra for seam allowance, and you know, for ease. I want it to be very comfortable as possible. I want to give this kind of bubu look. So altogether 10 and a half plus 5 inches for ease and for seam allowance. I went ahead to mark the same thing on the hemline. After that, I went ahead to cut my neck carefully, following the zigzag lines all the way to the end. So I did it carefully all the way to the end. Yes, can you see? When I was done, I went ahead to cut the shoulder. Everything all the way. So while I was done cutting, I went ahead to cut a facing for the neckline. I cut a facing of about 5 inches wide and 15 inches long for the facing. Okay, after that I placed the fabric on the facing. The right side of the fabric was facing the facing. As you can see, I went ahead to secure it with my pins. I'm just trying to arrange it very carefully so that it will align. After that, I went ahead to secure everything with my pin so that they will not shift from where I want it to be, where it is supposed to be when I start sewing everything together. While I was done pinning everything together, I went ahead to sew, following this zigzag shape all the way to the end. While sewing this, you have to be very careful again. Sew it very carefully, don't rush, so that you'll be able to get the shape very well, so that at the end of the day everything would lie down flat. The facing will be flat enough. It will not be giving some kind of bulges or bulkiness on the neckline. I use half an inch to sew everything all the way to the end very carefully. While I was done with the facing, I went ahead to remove the pins and cut out the excess facing. I went ahead to notch the neckline so that when I turn everything, it will lie down as flat as possible. Make sure you notch it, okay? This is a very important part. If you don't notch it, you'll not be able to turn it to give it that neat finishing. So you must notch it. It's a must. Notch it very well. Make sure you notch as close as possible When I was done, I just went ahead to trim some kind of excess allowance on it. This is the right side. I will take it to my machine and iron everything properly. So here I ironed everything. I took it to my table. I ironed everything. It's looking so flat and beautiful, very neat. Can you see? I make sure I ironed it very well. The next thing I did was to join the shoulders, both shoulders, join them together. I went ahead to hem and join the side, and that's that. I was done. This is the beautiful gown. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. Bye. See you again in my next video.